Well, hello. Hey, Mitchell here. I just wanted you to say hi to the babies. They're chilling out in the corner. And now I'm over here back. And if we do get visited, because they're starting to stir, seeing as I did just say hello to them, you'll know that it's one of the two. I wanted to shoot that so that you could see both of them together, because sometimes I get visited by one or the other and people are like, no, that's one cat. No, it's two. So anyway, hey, today I wanted to chat about authenticity and synchronicity. A lot of cities there. The Authen and the Synchro. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was, and it all works with manifestation. And the fascinating thing is that when you get into authenticity, it's a full body process. You're not so much in the brain, you're in the entire person. You're using every bit of you. And the consciousness that flows through all of you is different than the consciousness that just is mind-oriented. And so mind-oriented living is, I think, where most of us start. We get born onto this planet. We have, a family, and then our culture sort of brings us up to a certain value system. We look around, we see things, and we base our much of our self-worth, our perception, self-esteem on things. And as we grow, as we develop spiritually or consciously, the identification with the physicality, with the physical things, begins to wane, and we end up coming more and more into consciousness with a deeper self. And this consciousness, as I've been working with you over the past several months, or with my clients over the past years, I've really tried to bring in the body consciousness. And so we let's actually go there as a group. Let's start with breathing in and out through the nose only, and tongue to the roof of the mouth, mouth closed, small gap between the teeth, and our exhale is longer than our inhale. So we're not exhaling more, it's just a slower process, so that we begin to wake up the physical body component of ourselves. Now, I call it the physical body. It feels very physical. But as we become more and more authentic, we begin to understand that there's a lot to be said for the very energy of the being. And sometimes you feel far less solid, far less physical than maybe when you were, had a different awareness, had a awareness that was based around things and identities. Once you begin to lose that and gain a wider awareness or authenticity, that authenticity is when you see yourself in the other. You see yourself in just the environment and the happenings that are around you. You see the transparency. And these are all things that develop. So, maybe don't expect to know what I'm talking about right off the bat. But as time and as your practice deepens, you'll flow into this transparency. So we're breathing in through the nose. We're engaging the body. We're moving ourselves into a whole different realm. When we're really, our mind-based self spends a lot of time in the amygdala, a lot of time in the reaction and in the naming and the judging and the just the listing. And that is, when we list, then there's hierarchies, and when there's hierarchies, then there's better and there's worse. And as you move into a more peaceful place, you see that hierarchies don't actually truly exist. They are a manufactured instance, and they fall away very quickly. And if you want to go into that, mention it in the comments. But that's a topic of its own. We're talking about authenticity and synchronicity. So when I'm talking about authenticity, I'm talking about coming inside and engaging the entire being. And the entire being includes your body. Time and again, I've talked about the 80-20 rule, where it's 4-to-1. So the body, for every 4 signals that the body have, the brain has 1 answer. And so let's live in a way that ticks off or checks off these body functions so that physiologically we stay in a place of peace. And in that state of peace, we come into a place of reception. What's fascinating is that when we're in kind of the brain area only, we're more in the amygdala, and we emit that beta brainwave, which is kind of the higher brainwaves, and it's the thinking, the doing, the busy. When we sink into the body, we come into the part of the brain that emits the chemicals of peace and safety and well-being, and our body naturally turns down its vibration. When the body turns down its vibration, something happens in the brain too. The brain is the first one to be affected, and it changes its resonance to a lower resonance, a lower frequency. And I don't know if any of you have seen recently, a Stanford study showed that the ultra low frequencies of the brain, which actually happen to sync up with the Schumann resonances of the earth, are able to affect other brains as distant as 10,000 kilometers. What is that in miles? I don't know. It's a little less than 5,000 miles away. 4,000 and change. That's a lot of ways. That's a lot of distance. So just like say crows or ravens, when they're in a group, there's a group think, and they've shown that the brains of the ravens are all synced up, so that one at one end and one at the other knows what's happening. It's kind of a group think. Well, maybe we're not all individuals. and especially when we are in deeper alignment. So, let's try to come more and more into this deeper alignment. Let's spend less time thinking, less time in outrage. That's the fascinating thing about the news cycle and what's happening, in the wider world, the political sphere especially, is they're trying to keep us in outrage. And when you're in outrage, you're in the amygdala. You're in those higher frequencies, those frequencies that they might impact in the immediate area, but they don't have that lasting, deeper resonance that can impact over distances. Now, there was a Stanford study done, I believe it was in the 70s, and I used to know the name of the guy, but I did know a person who participated in the meditations, and part of the study, what happened was a bunch of meditators went to Lebanon in the 70s during that horrific civil war that they had, and they would get a safe house, or they would go into a home, or a place to stay in the areas of the highest violence, and they would meditate around the clock. And so they would take shifts so that there was somebody meditating continually. And what they discovered, and what this Stanford researcher actually was able to track, was that violence plummeted wherever these people were. And in fact, synchronicities started to occur. And so when I talk about going into your authenticity, what I'm talking about is coming into this being that we are capable of being. Is that ironic, or is that natural? Come into the being that we are capable of being, and we begin to resonate in a way that attracts. And it can attract, actual physical things, but it begins to attract whatever it is that we've put into motion. And especially when we've been really working on being in a place that it contributes to the broader community. And when we want to enhance even ourselves, but we're purely authentic, it generally also indicates that we are thinking on a wider spectrum, that we see ourselves as not as individuals against all the others, but as part of the whole. And when we have that understanding deep within us, and that is part of our authentic awareness, as we deepen that beingness for ourselves, it radiates out, it resonates out, and synchronicities come. You remember that quote by Goethe, when you have aligned, I can't quite say it, I'll paraphrase it, when you found that thing that turns you on, go for it. And as you move, all the universe moves too. And so there's a synchronicity. And Carl Jung also spoke of that, the synchronicity that comes to you as you become more authentic. And that authenticity oftentimes requires a movement away from performances. And I would say performances are those feelings that you get when you are doing whatever it is that you're doing in order to get something. You're performing for a reward rather than acting through authenticity. And a huge piece of that too is the shadow work, is facing the truth that perhaps when you're performing, it's maybe a subconscious and unconscious learned behavior. And as you become more and more aware, you become more and more present. When you become more and more present, then you can see yourself as whether acting in a performance in order to get something, trying to manipulate the environment that already exists, or you turn that around and you act true to what the resonance throughout the entire body is telling you, or you act within your truth, would be a better way to put it. You're not acting in order to get approval or things. You're acting in order to align with something larger that is based inside. So us just doing this basic breath multiple times during the day, that is a way of really coming into self-awareness. You turn up the resonance of the body, which is synced with the resonance of the earth, which is in those lower, deeper frequencies that correspond with the delta and the theta, which are the meditative frequencies which attract those things that contribute to the greater whole, and of course to you. So just by coming into the breath multiple times during the day, you are activating your parasympathetic, your calm, your peace, your well-being. You're turning down the craving for outrage, for control, for attention. And so as you turn all that down, then the need to perform falls away. And in fact, that's the transparency that I spoke of in the very beginning, is you recognize that these behaviors that once seemed so normal were actually performances. And they didn't serve you. Really what they were doing was trying to manipulate the things that were already existing. Whereas when you're acting in authenticity, you synchronize with the things that are coming. And the things that are coming, the things that are yet to manifest, are coming from the field of all that is, rather than the field of things that already exist. And so you're not acting within the field of limitation and lack and scarcity. You're acting within the field of absolute abundance and everything that can be. And so it's just mind-blowing, because it's outside of the mind. It's the entire unity of your beingness that is acting in that way. So we come into the breath multiple times during the day, this basic breath, and we come into it in times when things are good, okay? So come into it when all is well, when you're just walking down the street, when you're walking the dog, when you're in line at the grocery store, when you're shopping. I love coming into the basic breath when I'm in the grocery store, and I go to these, not the super deluxe grocery stores, just like your basic grocery stores, and the abundance that starts to emulate from just being in this space and doing a basic breath is far beyond the usual task-oriented perception of going to the grocery store. It's like, wow, all of this is available. So anyway, come into your basic breath in multiple places, multiple occasions, but all either neutral or positive occasions, because so many people are used to coming into the breath or engaging breath work when things aren't going so well. Well, we want to put a positive conditioning onto this breath work so that if things are not going so well and you come into the breath, all of this positive conditioning joins you, and so things can calm down far quicker. You can come into that peaceful resonance and anchor yourself there far deeper and stay there despite maybe other people's intentions to try to move you out, to join them back in this culture of lack and needing and control. Anyway, maybe these are a lot of different new ideas, and maybe you have some questions about how I've put this together. Please leave me comments. I do a ongoing cycle of courses that I call the Anatomy of Enlightenment. We dig deep into how to structure ourselves and our beingness in a way that roots us into this authenticity, which then, of course, puts you into synchronicity and aligns you with all that is, rather than all that's only that which has already been created. And so you live in the abundance rather than the things that other people have made through happenstance. So wonderful to see you, to chat with you. Please send me a comment, like, subscribe, be a follower. And also, I do have my book. I think it actually kind of goes through a lot of these things, but in a very soft sell sort of way. It's a story, and so you pedal along with me while I'm on a bike trip, and you kind of evolve in a pace rather than try and get it all crammed in a 20-minute video. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much. The cats are passed out. It's funny because they're on this leaning stack of blankets and they're both about to slide off. Maybe I'll just start making cat videos. That might be better for everyone. Okay, bye-bye.